Well, hello there, Facebook
Hello.
family, and I'm excited to be here with you today. I always like to start off simply Felicity by saying thank you to my patron of the day. I want to say thank you to Amy Mitchell. She's got an awesome Patreon page herself, and you'll want to check that out. But I want to say thank you to Amy for supporting the stream. We have a wonderful guest with us today. This is my first time meeting her, so we are going to get a super treat together. I penned her as Instagram influencer and blogger, Leah Love. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate this. Thank you.
Wow. So I would have to say you're kind of living the mom's dream. You
True.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you craft this life that, allows you to actually take care of your family, not shirk your responsibilities, but have a voice in the world because you really have a unique voice. You have a special way of communicating. Her website, which you've got to check out, is it Leah Love Online?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
Leah Love Online, you want to check that out. But how did this all come to you to kind of craft your life this way?
Well, to be honest, I have been on a journey for many, many, many years. And I've been sharing my story with young ladies and ladies my age, that change is indeed possible, that one can come from a variety of backgrounds and a variety of challenges and still turn their lives around. And I think that that's part and parcel of why my message is such, because 8 years ago, I did leave my current husband. And at that time, I had an older set of children. And then with my younger set, which at that time was 1 and 5 or 6 years old, I left it all behind because it was a completely dysfunctional situation.
Wow.
And I had been in it for 10 years. And I just saw that my life was going down the drain. And while I stayed so long, because I'm not a proponent of divorce, but I did realize that, things were not going to change in terms of protecting the family. And so I literally left with a suitcase. And one of the things that I promote with my friends, as well as with my community and the ladies that I have coached in the past, is that you've got to take extreme measures sometimes to lift yourself out of situations that are less than optimal for yourself and for your children. And so I ended up going to a friend's home who lived in Atlanta. I left California, and I literally started my life over from scratch at the age of 40.
My
And
goodness.
in that
Did you
process
have your
of,
kids with you?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
I was wondering like how extreme were you actually talking? I
oh
when you
yeah,
said you left everything, I was like, "Oh my God."
oh no, 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 no. I absolutely had to take them with me, and it was a process over the 8 years of extreme trials and error. But one of the things that, as you asked, how did I craft this life? I had made some very firm decisions with myself that regardless of what circumstances, that I had to take personal responsibility for
Wow.
and accountability for the choices that I made. I had to realize that there are certain things that I absolutely wanted to do, which was one, to homeschool my children and to stay home with them. And even
Wow.
as a single mom at that time, and the things that I had not been able to do for my older children, I definitely wanted to do that for them. And this is me leaving everything behind without a job, and staying with a friend. She was wonderful enough to take me in. She was a small business owner, and she had an extra bedroom. And so I was able to do it. And so over the years, I was able to find at work home, and I was able to fix my credit, and get into my own place. Just a lot of struggles, but through it all, I homeschooled my children and I worked from home. And in elevating my own mentality and bringing myself out of victim mentality, I was then able to meet my current husband, and I made sure that he understood that it was very important for me to give to my younger set of children what I wasn't able to give to my older set.
Mm,
And that if I were to remarry, it would definitely be in a situation where I would not work outside of the home. Inside of the home is enough work in and of itself, being a homemaker, stay at home mom. And so, it was really, really important. He also saw that as important, and family values. He comes from strong family values himself. He was once divorced. And so it was just a symbiotic situation. But by my
Wonderful.
sticking to those goals, and sticking to what was really, really important to me, I was able to make a change in my life. And that's really what I promote on my website as well.
Well, now I have to address the current narrative. At what point did the white man actually hold you back?
And see, that's the thing, at no point,
Just
because
trying to figure it out.
there was not a moment in my choices that I made in marrying, and being with my ex-husband. The white man was not there, and in the choices that I enabled in terms of being the financial caretaker of the family, taking care of him, taking care of everything else. These are things that I did of my own volition. And creating a harder life for myself than needed. The white man was nowhere in that.
Isn't that
And
crazy? I
it's
mean,
it's it's
I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just
you
trying to
know
figure it out.
I've been saying on my page on my Instagram, we are talking in a very circular motion, in the sense that on the one hand people are saying, well, it was systemic racism and it was slavery and it was redlining and reconstruction disaster and Jim Crow, and it's because of all of these reasons that people are making their decisions that they're making today. And then there's the other side that says none of that is affecting what you're doing today. And so it's really one of these situations where we really have to look at what point do we stop and say, there wasn't a white man standing there at that particular moment when I pulled that trigger, let's say, if it's someone holding a gun. There wasn't a white man standing there when I was Netflix and chilling with some fella in the hood and got pregnant and he up and left, and etc. There wasn't a white man there at that moment. There also wasn't a white man there at that moment when I am at the club, when I am doing all of these various things, not to say that don't go to clubs, but I'm just simply saying there are so many options in our life and our time that we can spend our lives chance doing, our time doing. And to say that, white people are the main causative of what we are doing every day in a 24-hour period of time is absolutely disingenuous. And that's not something that I'm going to promote with myself or with my children.
Absolutely, because it doesn't get anywhere. And, on another side of the coin, you kind of address some of the degenerates, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, I'm having conversation with highly educated, sometimes Ivy League graduates. I
Yes.
am talking to people with multiple degrees. I
Mm-hmm.
am talking to people sometimes with zero debt. I mean, some of these young people are set. You understand? Like
Yes.
set. They have set themselves up and they are the most Black Lives Matter people I can find. And so
Right.
what I'm recognizing is
Mm-hmm.
that of course we know about the complete like taking over of their mind. That's why you
Right.
and I homeschooled. I mean,
Yes.
listen, this is the deal, right? On
Mm-hmm.
the other hand, they're very worried about these other people, not them with the college degrees and the zero debt and they're all kind of set for life and everything like that. They are worried about this some kind of other person that they've
Right.
heard about that doesn't have these opportunities. And quite frankly, if you know anything about recovery, that's codependency.
Yes.
And you are like super invested in people that honestly would soon as shoot at you to look at you if you came to their hood. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's
Yes.
like I mean, we are jacked up on many ends of the spectrum. You know, it's not just this one element that's messing us up. It's like we got help. We got many
Yes.
many segments of people with our skin color that are making these arguments for a variety of reasons.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
one of
didn't
the
realize that you were a coach, but now it
mhm.
all is making sense.
Oh, gotcha. And I have since set that aside a bit because I realized that um, there needs to be a larger and a wider discussion. And to your point, you're very much accurate in my point of view in terms of the people who are experiencing great success in their lives. They are still tied to a narrative that is really not serving the Black community. And one of the narratives is this idea of unity, and the unity in community. And to be honest, it's really about a collective of people who happen to have the same skin color. And I will be very honest, and part of the reason why I guess I'm so passionate about this is that though I grew up in an upper middle class family, because my mom was not in the Black struggle, so to speak, during the civil rights era. She was the type who had her head in the books. She was the type who was the first in this and the first in that, and really was a trailblazer in corporate America. But because I missed that aspect of the Black struggle and the Black life, I unfortunately went in the opposite direction in college. And so it was in college that I was indoctrinated into the leftist
That was
ideology.
the word I was looking for, indoctrination. Thank you.
Yes. And it was exactly there that I took on the victim status because I was angry that, to be honest, I'd never heard of Malcolm X until I was 18 or 19. I'd never heard of, Black leaders and whatnot because it just wasn't important to my mother. Being a woman who was the first Black woman to graduate from, Texas Women's University in nursing. I mean, she was born in the 40s, but she was doing a lot and she didn't have time for all of that. And I resented that because I was indoctrinated in the early 90s. And I went the opposite route. But the reason why I'm so impassioned about it is because I spent, a good I want to say 15, 20 years in this whole Black Power thing. And I saw more dysfunction, more, you know, creating a religion out of poverty, creating a religion out of narratives about it was the white man, it was the white man. And also within that, those communities, I saw, or excuse me, within those movements, I saw Black women getting further and further behind. I saw firsthand the Black women coddling of dysfunctional Black men. I saw the coddling and excuse making, and most of the women were the breadwinners, and the men were sitting at home, pontificating and bringing up Malcolm X verses and whatnot, and the children were coming out in poverty, and it was just a whole mess. And that's part of why when we talk about the Black intellectuals, some of that Black guilt comes into play where they will end up wasting their 20s and their very productive years chasing behind a dream and a myth, which is that Black people can elevate themselves via politics. To be honest, I am not a person who believes that we can elevate ourselves via politics because otherwise, with having Obama as a president, that means that the hood should have been heaven. With having cities that are run by Black mayors, Black city councils, Black school, boards, Black police chiefs, the hood should have been a perfect situation with them all being Democrats. But that's not the case because we're missing the component of culture. And by us placating the community and by the intellectuals or those who have done well for themselves, by not focusing on blooming where you're planted, if you are in a space where you are have the wherewithal to make a difference and a change, do that by being that and by not owning a narrative that no longer serves you, that doesn't belong to you.
I was just thinking, so first of all, had not heard the term black guilt before. It's quite obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite obvious that that
Yes.
is what is going on. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was just about to mention, so black guilt is when you take on black guilt, then you go ahead and co-opt the struggles, actual struggles that people have. I mean, these are not fake struggles,
Correct. Correct.
but for a lot of the people in the street, it's not their struggles, and they feel so righteous,
Yes.
right? Taking these things on, and it really can't be done like that.
Correct.
That's not the way that it can be done. So you and I have a lot of similarities. I actually come though from a lower middle class family in a neighborhood that became progressively more and more run down from
Got
when
you.
they moved there in the 70s.
Okay.
And because my mom was a teacher, she lied to get me into a better high school. So I went to private
Ah,
schools. I went
right.
to private schools
Okay.
younger, but then we fudged on my address just a couple blocks over, and I was able to go to a better public school because
Perfect.
she wasn't playing that.
Right.
And so,
Absolutely.
you know, but so the difference for me and where I've kind of been coming at this is I actually had the struggle. Like I lived in the hood, and I was a nerd. I was definitely a nerd. I didn't go out a lot. Like I didn't play on the block like a lot. First of all, you know, just a reminder to the younger generation, people used to play on the block. Like they actually
Exactly.
kids went out and
Right.
like
Right.
legit did stuff,
Right.
but not this kid because it wasn't a nice neighborhood and they weren't really nice kids. They weren't as nice as the kids that went to my private schools. So
Okay.
I stayed in and read books and read them out loud. And that's where kind of some of the acting and performance came in and stuff like that. But, and then, um, you know, because of that nerdiness, got great grades. And someone a year ahead of me went to Princeton University, one of my
Mm.
good black friends. And I was
Okay.
like, I know that was one of our
Right.
options. You know,
Right.
quite
Right.
frankly, this is where my thought life was. I was like, so y'all finna pay for me to go anywhere. How about Hawaii U? Is there a Hawaii U?
Yes.
Like, I didn't know what
Yes.
went down at Hawaii
Right.
U, but I just wanted to go to Hawaii. So,
Right.
you know,
I
so anyway, but then he went to Princeton, he got in. I was like, oh, hold on. And somebody told me, listen, if you don't want to be a marine biologist, I'm not really sure Hawaii U is your right choice anyway.
gotcha.
So we did an
Gotcha.
East Coast trip, fell in love with Princeton. And so, you know, for me, I feel like I've kind of seen the mountaintop and I, you know, kind of lived in the slutter in the gutter, whatever. And for me, really living with values, living with integrity, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like actually, the things that I was taught in church that really I grabbed a hold of after I graduated from college are what I saw made the difference in people's lives. You know,
Mm.
not this money narrative, right? Like it didn't really, I saw jerks in the hood and
Right.
jerks at Princeton.
Right.
So, and the reason I asked you that question to start off is because I just began to believe and to learn we could create this life.
Right.
Like we can create the kind of existence that we want to have. And you know, there were a lot of lessons along the way to getting there, but that is great news that comes right after you have to have the bad news. The bad news you have to start with is if
Yes.
you hate your life, look around, you did that. You got if you can't start
Exactly.
there, we ain't getting nowhere. You have got
Nowhere.
to own that you did all this stuff you hate. It really
Absolutely.
is. I mean, there are things that happened to you that weren't your fault, but your response, right? And then your
Yes.
continued response determine another thing. Another similarity is
Very
that I
true.
started off purely as a coach, but then realized that it did need to have a broader audience. So now I
Okay.
only take clients that are a perfect fit. I ain't
Gotcha.
trying to impress you. If I ain't
Yes.
for you, listen. You either
Yes.
listening, you ain't listening. We're done here,
That's
right? But
right.
if it's a good fit and you can afford it, we're good, right? So
That's right.
that's kind of got to be what it is right now because I don't know like how I really felt that call, but it kind of starts occurring to you. You only have this certain amount of time. And another thing I wrote too is you can only be an echo for so long.
Mm.
You have to, you start as an echo because you got to get trained, but eventually
Yes.
you got to be a voice.
Yes.
So, how did that kind of occur to you that it was really time to start getting public? Because I could see, unlike me, you don't have 8 million pictures on your thing, and maybe you don't love being on camera or whatever. It's more about the words for you and stuff, but you knew that you had a voice you had to get out there. Talk to me about that.
Well, the interesting thing is, and I love your story about your upbringing and having the opportunities and seeing examples around you, or at least being able to see them.
Right.
Because that's a really a powerful statement. Because for me, I've actually been on Facebook for many years,
Mm,
doing videos. My main focus 5 to 7 years ago was really about self care, was really about shifting your life, changing your life. I tell my story many times. Many women feel that over their 40s that there's just no hope, or if they're already single moms, that they can't ever remarry, that they can't change the trajectory of their life. And that was really important to me, because I feel like as long as you're breathing, you have an opportunity to make massive shifts in your life. And for that of your children, because at this point, it's really about your children once you have them. And so I have been doing a lot of those videos. I have been doing, dating coaching,
okay. All around the
understanding
board like
courtship.
me. That is
Yes.
wild.
Yeah. But
I
you know
because
what
I
the
found it
thing is?
all interesting and they
Yes.
all operate under the same principle.
That's
They
what I was
really
exactly going to
do.
say. It's all the same story. It's just different flavors or different avenues of the same city, so to speak.
Yep.
And so that's what was really important to me, is that message in terms of the various Facebook groups I've had. I've been deeply into mindset. I've been very deep into the law of attraction and getting people to understand. And Joe Dispenza is someone that I really enjoy learning from, and he has a book that's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it goes into the
Ooh,
neuroscience
I'm writing
of
it down.
habits. Oh, he's amazing. I mean, it takes a minute sometimes, depending on what your particular background is. But his ideas about how very basic understanding of your neural paths in your brain, when you have certain habits of thinking, which then affect certain habits of emotion, which
Mm,
then affects certain habits of experiences in your life. And from those experiences, you then create a cycle of more emotions based on the experiences you're having, which
wow.
color the same thoughts. And then
Wow.
you just get into this loop, which is very similar to the Black victimology loop.
I was gonna
That if you
say, like,
don't
you
step,
just
it's
described the whole thing right
that's
there.
exactly what it is. And again, just as you said, if you're on dating or if you're on this or you're that, when you begin to look at personal accountability, it's all the same thing. But then I realized that I had to set it aside, as I said, in terms of the coaching, because I realized that while I met some wonderful women, um, many times I found that the message was not necessarily getting across in the way in which I wanted it to. In other
Mm,
words, I wasn't seeing the result in not all, but just some of the women's lives after coaching them. And that's when I realized that, it's not just about how you appear at a date or how to write your dating profile, which I do, and how to do all of these things, but it's more so your mindset. Because then they started coming to me in terms of coaching for just how did you do what you did? How did
yes.
you go from having nothing to being, a stay-at-home mom, and being in circles that I would not have ever dreamed of even wanting to be in when I was pro-black and doing the whole pro thing.
Wow.
But married to a physician and a medical chief medical officer. These are all things that I am now that I would not have been able to imagine or dream about, just in terms of the energy and the focus and the mindset.
Wow.
And living in the area that I live in, where my children are safe and whatnot. These are not things that I could have done just by using slogans or just by following little things here or there. It is an entire breaking the habit of being yourself. I had to literally become a different person and, in a way, backtrack into what I was actually born into, that I
Right.
turned away from because I wanted to be pro Black and prove myself via the whole Black guilt thing. That
So
my
now your
good
focus is kind of
upbringing.
going back into that community.
Oh,
I find that
absolutely.
you're speaking into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
And
So there's a
and this is one.
reclaiming that's
Yes.
happening. That's
And this is
awesome.
one thing I wanted to share with you before I forget, and it's to your question. I'm currently reading Up from Slavery. I don't have the jacket to it, from
Oh,
Booker T. Washington.
awesome.
And my husband is currently reading Our Kind of People.
Okay. Hadn't heard of that one.
Um, and
Oh,
it's
but I
called
know him.
Inside America's Black Upper Class
Yes.
by Lawrence Otis Graham. Now, the reason why, this is really important, and it's kind of a segue into what we're talking about, is that the whole issue of Black guilt, the whole issue of, even though you have had a different background, you tend to associate certain life experiences that are not actually of yourself, and you'd rather decrease your effectiveness and your ability to really preach from a position of where you actually are and on the things that got you where you are, which was stamina, stick to itness, values, which was perseverance, which was not looking at skin color solely on what determines what you can do with your life, but on personal grit. And by doing that, you come to a certain level where you can go left or right, which is one is the whole Black guilt thing, and pretend with Black people that you didn't get where you were because of your own personal values and your own personal desire to elevate. You got there in spite of it because white people were harming you so much in
Which
the
is Michelle
process.
Obama. Yeah, that's
Correct.
her whole.
That's not a story that is going to help Black people the same way white liberals are not helping Black people. But when you begin to, I had to, and I have to do this for my children's sake, look at these type of books. I
Yeah.
had to realize that when I say it's a collective and not a community, the bottom line is, that's what I love about conservative mindset, is because it is about the individual. Because first, if you don't fix your own individual self and fix what's going on in your home, you're quite disingenuous by trying to do something outside of the community or claiming that there's an outer community that you're going to help. And what these families did was they realized that early on in 1900,
Yeah.
in 1904, when they realized that the work that we've done to elevate our families cannot be destroyed in one generation because somebody is feeling Black guilt. We can't help, as Reverend Ike would always say, you can't help the poor by being poor. You can't help the
Yes.
dysfunctional by being dysfunctional. You have to blaze forward and do what you're doing and understand that there is going to be an element that simply is going to be there. I mean, I
Do you
had
think
to,
in college did
uh
they
huh,
sell you on the idea that you had missed out on something? You know, that maybe your mom left something out of your experience and you felt like you were reaching for that. I mean, I'm just wondering how they sell people because having come from a reverse end, I'm like, why you described it so perfectly. Why are you demeaning yourself? A.
yes,
B, why are you lying to people? You did
yes,
not, I mean, I have a close family member. She has a master's degree, zero debt. She's actually
mm-hmm,
a single mom. You think you could have done that in 1960? I mean,
correct,
honest to God.
correct,
And so
correct,
I'm like, but you did not get there with the stuff you're talking right now. You
yes,
could not have gotten there
yes,
with the stuff you're talking. So my thing, why are you lying to people? Like, why are you flat lying to people? I don't understand the appeal of not like stepping into your greatness and going from there and in a position of power begin
yes.
to lift people up. I don't understand why they're bowing it. I like I was just trying to figure like how did they sell you on that when your mom had already gotten out?
Well, I think that that's a really great question, and I don't pretend to have the answers to everything. Surely, I have so much to learn. But
Well, it'll
one of
be a
the
good
things
blog
that
for you. Yeah,
exactly,
I
yes,
can
and
tell. I'll be reading it.
well, thank you. I definitely will be thinking about that a lot more because, to be honest, there is, a whole field of study called epigenetics,
You're
in
right.
which generational trauma is passed on, also generational stories. And so, one of the things that I'm really mulling over right now in terms of my college years and in terms of the fact that I didn't realize that I was being indoctrinated into the trauma story is that just as Black academia complains that history has been whitewashed,
Hmm.
or that historians and educators are painting a picture that is not as horrific as they really should have. Being that Black Studies was my minor, I'm remembering the courses and the books that I read, and in women's studies and all of that.
Yeah,
I would say that the left has blackwashed a lot of the history. Not to say that there wasn't a lot of horrific, obvious crimes against humanity, but what's interesting is the Black think, the Black group think, has pointedly decided not to mention and to speak about these people
exactly. Right.
unless they say, oh, well, those are Uncle Toms and race traders. But the
And then
interesting
you don't
thing,
go look up who Uncle Tom was. Kind of a
exactly,
great guy.
right,
So I'm like,
right.
I guess that's an insult. You tell me.
Well, and that's the story that really woke me up over the last year or so, when I've really been, I was hit with, Candace Owens, and I just thought, oh my gosh, like somebody's really out there. And I had to work through some of my feelings on some of the things she was saying. I think this is a constant process of peeling back the layers of this onion in terms of the Black narrative and
Yeah.
the Black story that we're born into, much like you're speaking about in terms of the Black academia. But the story that I'm most upset about at this point is why it has not been um, expedient for Black Black leaders to point to the Black successes. And that's what's really, I'm just mulling over in my head right now, is though college students today will say this is the most racist time in all of American history, though they are being completely fooled into thinking that every Black person that walks out of their house is going to get shot by a cop, they're not thinking about the blessings that they have, and the true access to elevate themselves that people in 1890, in 1900, in 1910s, and 1920s, where there was real lynching, where real things were happening, and yet you had this entire segment of our people who did not allow that to stop them from prospering. Even Black power groups often mention, well, we had Black Wall Street, and we had this, and planes and trains and all the professions in the world, and but then the whites came and bombed us out, and that was it. But rather than focusing on not that the white folks came and bombed it and ruined it per se, but who were the people who in much more difficult times created these communities. And it wasn't just that in Oklahoma, it was all over the country. It was communities out in the West that we don't hear about. And it's not to say that, oh, well, you just want to erase the suffering, but no, we want to make sure that there is a a various of what's the word I want to say, a multi-pronged approach to the Black experience. In other
Yeah.
words, the Black experience is not only about slavery. There were many, many freed Black individuals, immigrants, and others who were here during that time. There is a legacy of Black freedom, and Black free thinking and Black independent thinking that has taken place simultaneously with this whole oppression story.
Yeah. And you know what? And I tell you what, they are becoming quite the self-fulfilling prophecy because
Yes,
I think Leah would agree with me. You know, first of all, most people who have achieved upper echelons, especially if they didn't start there,
right.
uh, got coaching. So
Yes,
I just want to, I like to say that as often as possible
yes,
because just not everyone knows that. Like when
right.
I was told it the first time,
Good
like I
point.
didn't know. You're not
Good
going to
point.
guess that. Just
Right.
so you know. So there is a body of information, a study of success that
Yes.
people can actually help you to cut your time in getting to where you may want to go. Okay. But if we were going to boil down and maybe get like real, like just uncomplicated for you, you just need one little nugget. We would tell you that without gratitude, forget
Mm.
all of it. Like we could tell you everything in the world. And if you are
That's right.
ungrateful, like forget it. So we
Yes.
start there. So what
Yes.
I am saying is that you have an entire generation, a, a huge segment of it is incredibly ungrateful. So I don't care about your degrees and I don't care about your lack of debt and all these things that other people would have given their left arm for
Yes.
will not help you. And the reason you feel like you do and will continue to feel like you do
Right.
is the ingratitude. Because
Yes.
there are
Oh, yes.
legitimately stories of people that changed their life by doing nothing but waking up and the first thing they said was thank you. And
Mm,
they meant it
absolutely.
and it began to open up doors for them. So, what I'm saying is, like, there is a spiritual component to the fact that you are absolutely about to watch your life collapse. I mean, you feel it. And
Yes.
you guys are out there prophesying. You think you're just quoting? No, you're prophesying. I
Yes.
can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Yes.
And you
Oh
know
my
what?
gosh.
As an actor, I could sit here and get myself almost into some type of coma or some type of medical state by really
Yes.
passionately saying I can't breathe. But even the meaning of what that means, like you are bringing it on yourself spiritually with your ingratitude. I am telling
Absolutely.
you, and your lack of understanding of history has created the ingratitude, blackwashed history. Oh my God, Leah. Like, oh my God. Like we just broke this thing wide open. I mean,
Right.
that's what happened because you need not just the political end of what this means conservatively. That's what has given me a special like voice in this is pairing it with, and I saw that in you, pairing it with the spiritual law understanding.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying to be, and there are people that know and understand spiritual law that are in this black group think. And I'm like, you are flat lying to people. I have seen
Exactly.
people drag themselves up like I did. And then they
Yes.
want to go back into the no justice, no peace. Stop lying to the people.
That's
You
right.
received mercy. When you get into these spiritual laws, people help you that you don't deserve that. And you get favor and you get all kinds of, you begin to attracting things that is not in your background to have.
Right.
And then you want to go into this sort of hardline, no justice, no peace thing when that is not what brought you to where you're at. I mean, flat lying to people, just flat out lying, you know?
And one of the things that, it's so important what you said, and I'm just thankful that you actually said it because what's most poignant, it's like such a chilling point. And in fact, when we look at the quote unquote urban communities, and I have been sharing this on my Instagram page, quotes from various stars and entertainers,
Mm.
Denzel Washington,
Yes, that
Morgan Freeman.
video.
I
I was
mean,
like, she
yeah,
shared it too.
yeah, it's and then getting down into rappers. I'm not talking about the individuals in terms of whether you like them or not or whatever. But even this fella ASAP.
Oh, is that what his name was? I was like, I don't know
I
who this
didn't.
man
I
is.
don't know. I didn't know who he was either. I couldn't tell you what song. I'm just not in that. But when I saw that video that I shared just last night, I believe, and these are young men. I look at Jay Z and Beyonce again. I'm not, whatever in terms of what you believe about them or what you feel about them. What you begin to really realize and what they will tell you is that once they got out of the quote unquote hood, through their determination, whatever, the art that they were interested in, they worked hard, they pushed their, little tapes in somebody's face, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. The grit that they used to get there, even though they may be, as you're saying, promoting a particular message in their songs and whatnot, in their personal lives, let's take Jay Z and Beyonce, they're married, they're building wealth, they
Hello.
are doing things, and they also understand that when you leave certain circles, you begin to see that all of a sudden, this story about race is not at the forefront of their interactions on a day to day basis. Yes, wealth, power, those type of things at that level is much more important than their race. And all of a sudden, though they may not say it publicly, which is something I wish that they would, they lean more towards conservative thinking. Conservative, they want to conserve their wealth. That is the conservative, conserve. They want to,
If you would research the actual system of it, you would
yes,
see, even if they preach something else, they live in a conservative value way.
yes,
That is a way
yes,
that you could peek under this curtain. Because right now, Kanye's the only one that'll tell you.
exactly,
Kanye's like, I got enough money and they ain't never cared about y'all. Like I've
exactly.
been speaking what I thought the whole time. Like y'all thought I was a paid puppet. I was just saying it because I'm crazy. They were like, "Oh, we got one. We don't even need to pay." He'll just say it, right? He
Right,
just said whatever he thought. He is still saying what he thinks. Like
exactly,
nothing changed for him, and so he is
exactly.
the only one that's willing to tell you. But if you, that would be a great way. If there's someone that says like, "I don't really believe this" or whatever, they look. No, study conservatism. Look at the great thinkers. You know what I mean? Like put in conservative thought. Get you some books or whatever, and then you'll be like, wait a minute. In fact,
Exactly.
it wouldn't just be the black people you'd see living that way. You'd see a bunch of liberals, a bunch of Democrats that live that way, right?
Absolutely.
But the way they make more money to conserve is by putting something else out of their mouth.
There for you.
But if you want to
Exactly.
actually figure this out, how to elevate your life, you know, and there are people that want to know, and
Absolutely.
they don't want to like be lied to by people that feel sorry for them. They
Absolutely.
actually want your stuff. There are hood rats, few of them in the streets with you that are looking at you and want your stuff. You know what I mean? Like
That's
they're
right.
like, wait, you out here saying the same thing I'm saying, but look at your shoes or look at your or I listen to the way you talk. I'm not going
Right.
to be able to get a job that you get. Listen, I'm this is so real. This is
Yes.
so real.
Yes.
And you think that you're helping them with your pity and all of that guilt is going on ahead and making your thoughts fuzzy so that you're not actually able to help them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that, as I'm thinking about, I get a lot of DMs now in my Instagram. And one of the things that I just really blew me away because I hadn't heard about it before, and it was in fact a young white woman who DMs me quite a lot and a lot of information and links. And there's this thing which I missed the whole concept, which is called luxury beliefs. And I'm still mulling it over because I haven't been able to fully wrap my mind around how I want to share that information over multiple posts. But luxury beliefs, there was this article that came out, I want to say 2, 3 years ago, by a young man, a white man who, I guess he was deeply abused. He was in foster care from a young age, then abused by his foster folks, and back and forth. He ended up going to the military and then going to, the college and whatnot. And so he came from a very impoverished situation. And while he was I don't know if it was Yale. I want to say it was Yale. While he was there after getting out of the military, something to that effect, he was having conversations with these wealthy white liberals. Um, and he just really started thinking about it and he started sharing his story. And he said, this is what we call luxury beliefs. In other words, wealthy white liberals from, very blue blood families and whatnot, while they were professing ideologies, open marriages and, radical feminism and, all of these concepts that were just cool and the way in which people talk in colleges and
Yeah,
writing papers on it and whatnot.
right.
But when he would ask these women friends of his, for instance, oh, well, so you believe in, open marriage and, well, they're like, oh, I mean, I'm totally for, other people, their right to have that, but I'm actually going to be married and my family expects me to get married and to go off and, have my children. And a lot of them end up being stay at home moms. They've got Yale degrees and all of that. But what they profess publicly are concepts and ideologies that they can afford to
Exactly.
confess it for a small period of time during their lives because they don't have to deal with the consequences of the fallout. of actually living that. And Black people listen to these people and they take that as their Bible, their religion, and they actually live it and then deal with the fallout of it. So all of this free sex, open relationships, doesn't matter if you're married or not, doesn't matter if there's fathers involved or not, just whatever goes. These people who are telling you this stuff, they're not actually living it, and it's a whole thing. Whether
Right.
it's Black entertainers doing it, or the white liberal think tankers and all of that. Not a lot of them, not all of them, but a vast majority of them understand that this is just something that you do to, again, part of white guilt, to be seen as
Right.
acceptable and cool. But their families have a set of values and a whole structure that they cannot deviate from because their families have worked for their fortunes.
And
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 for
just so you
Black,
know, like the principle behind that is you also kind of want to know if your financial planner does what they recommend.
exactly,
It's the same
exactly,
thing, y'all. It's
exactly.
the same thing. If
Mm-hmm.
you can learn that principle, that
Yes.
you don't want someone selling you on something
Yes.
that they themselves as an expert would
Right.
not do,
Right.
because you don't need to question whether they're an expert, but you need to know what it is
Yes.
they actually do behind the scene.
Yes.
And that's exactly kind of what this luxury belief pulls the curtain on.
Absolutely.
That's
And one of the things that I wanted to share with you, I don't want to mess up my video because I have it actually sitting on this book.
oh, family
Oh gosh,
fortune.
sorry. Family Fortune
Okay.
by Bill Bonner and his son Will Bonner. Literally, I have my webcam on this book. And it's a very big hardback book. Let me set it down here. Excuse me, you guys. Literally, my webcam is on that. But I'm going to tell you, when we talk about, these concepts about values, about the importance of family, forget what you heard that, oh, it's okay to just go out here and do this and do that and live your life. Um, but when you actually read these books and you realize that there is a whole world that's like, in other words, the real world, not your Black narrative world, that, the cycle that keeps continuing. But while you're doing all of that and your white liberals are petting you, and you're going further and further down the rabbit hole of ratchetry and, Cardi B's and following all of these rappers that are just crazy, but we're calling them classy, redefining reality. This stuff is going on. Family fortunes,
And
and
you
you cannot
just
create family fortune with dysfunction, with families disintegrated, with children all over the place. I mean, these are things that if you don't get your own personal self together, your own personal belief system, and your own behaviors. And like I just posted on my page, and people laughed at it, but I was very clear. I said, if women would simply close their legs for a little bit, it would give us time to really think and plan our next move.
wow.
May not be liberal, may not be PC, but we need to stop with all of this Netflix and chill and I'm just going to do me and be me and following Lizzo and following all this ratchetry out here and twerking everywhere and just saying, oh, well, even if I don't do it, it's okay if they do it because, everyone has a right. Yes, they do. But at the end of the day, don't come and complain and cry when people see you in a certain way, when people prejudge you or when people, stereotype you. I think that's what I really want to say here.
That's so powerful. I had just posted about, the increase in education in the Black community, but it has been flat, the income disparities. Leah
Mm.
just explained it to you. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to study the Bonners. We don't want to read about family fortune. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Until that conversation happens, your education is not going to help you, right?
Exactly.
And it's also the things I mentioned about spiritual laws, because you have
Yes.
all spiritual law number one, you have violated. So you're not going to get to laws of abundance, laws of attraction. You are going to attract more to be ungrateful for. But
That's
if
right.
if you will begin to be grateful, you'll begin to attract amazing books like that, right? And begin to change, really change your family's legacy, not by whining and demanding and throwing bricks through windows. And now they're going to make the Minneapolis police not do chokeholds anymore. It's not going to help you. Is not
Not at
it
all.
is not going to
Not at
help you.
all.
Well, you just met my new best friend Leah. I love me some bold black women that will just say it. Good Lord, we need some black mama wisdom in the house. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that you will come back.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
because we could
Absolutely.
go
I've
on
loved it.
another couple hours, but we'll just
Yes.
spread it out over a couple shows, if that's all right.
All right.
Sounds good
Absolutely.
to me. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to be a supporter and even to have your business promoted here on the show, the info will come up very soon. Patreon.com/FelicityJoy. Thank you for supporting the stream by watching, sharing, commenting. Rose, James, I see you guys. Thank you so much for your comments, and we'll see you next time. Bless you,
All right.
Leah.
Bye.
Bye
Thank you for having
bye.
me. Okay, take care.